Good morning, children. So last time, if you remember, we already have started with life process in living organism part 2. In that, we already finished with asexual reproduction in unicellular organism as well as asexual reproduction in multicellular organism. Last time during video session, we discussed about flower, which is a reproductive part of a plant. So in flower, there are 4 whorls, out of which 2 are said to be essential whorls and 2 are said to be accessory whorls. Essential whorls are androecium and gynoecium, out of which androecium is male reproductive organ and gynoecium is a female reproductive organ. We also studied in detail the structure of androecium and gynoecium. The unit of androecium is known as stamen. Each stamen consists of bilobed anther and a filament, or the structure which holds the anther is known as filament. In case of female reproductive organ, that is gynoecium, the unit of gynoecium is known as carpel. Each carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. Now stigma is a part where actually receives the male gamete, that is pollen grain. Style is a part through which the male gametes are carried towards the ovary. Inside ovary there are many small ovules. Each ovule consists of egg sac, or also known as embryo sac. So this was detail about androecium and gynoecium. The 2 accessory whorls are calyx and corolla. Calyx protects the flower in bud condition, which is green in color, and corolla is a colored part which is made up of petals. The unit of corolla are known as petals and the unit of calyx are known as sepals. So petals are brightly colored as well as fragrant to attract insect for pollination. So this is in detail the structure of flower. Now flowers can be either unisexual or bisexual. If a single flower on a single plant consists of both androecium and gynoecium in a single flower, it is called as bisexual flower. And if only one, that is either androecium or gynoecium, is present in a flower, then it is said to be a unisexual flower. Same way, plants are also unisexual or bisexual. If plant has both androecium and gynoecium on the same plant and the same flower, it is said to be a bisexual plant. And if plant has either androecium or gynoecium growing in its flower, it is said to be unisexual or monoecious flowers. In case of papaya, for example, the male plant and female plant are different. And in case of hibiscus, the male part and female part are present on the same plant. So hibiscus is a bisexual plant, whereas papaya is a unisexual plant. So this was all about flower as a reproductive part of plant. Next concept that we are going to start is of pollination. Now we already know that pollen grains are male gametes or male reproductive cells of the plant, and ovule is a female reproductive gamete or a female gamete of a plant. So these pollen grains grow and mature on anther of androecium, while as ovules grow inside the ovary, which is a part of gynoecium. Now when this anthers become mature, they are transported to the stigma of gynoecium. This transportation of pollen grains on stigma may occur by help of natural factors like wind or water, or it can also occur by biotic factors or living organisms like birds and insects. So the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of flower is known as pollination. Now after pollination, the pollen grain inside it consists of 2 male gametes. Once it reaches the sticky stigma, it starts growing inside the style and it forms a tube which is called as pollen tube. So this pollen tube start traveling through the style towards the ovum. Now when it is traveling, the tube consists of two male gametes which travel towards the ovum. Inside ovum there is presence of embryo sac. Each embryo sac consists of 7 cells, 3 on opposite ends, that is 6, and 1 in the center. So at one end they consist of 3 cells, of which one is called as egg, and the two are surrounding it are known as synergids. On the opposite end of egg sac or embryo sac, we have 3 cells which are called as antipodal cells, and in the center we have a cell which consists of 2 nuclei, so it is called as polar nuclei. So we have 7 cells, one is egg cell, surrounding the egg cell are 2 synergids, that is 3 cells. On the opposite end we have 3 cells known as antipodal cells, and in the center we have a single cell consisting of 2 nuclei which is known as secondary nuclei or polar nuclei. So when the 2 male gametes are traveling through the pollen tube, they reach inside the ovum, they reach the embryo sac. Out of 2 male gametes, one gamete fuses with egg to form embryo or to form zygote from which the embryo is formed, and the second one fuses with the polar nuclei. Now the polar nuclei cell consists of 3 nuclei in it. Earlier there were 2 nuclei and one more nucleus is added of the male gamete. So we have 3 nuclei. It is called as triploid cell. So it consists of 3 nuclei, and the egg which is formed, it is formed by a single male gamete and a single female gamete which was already there in the egg. So diploid zygote and triploid secondary nucleus or triploid polar nuclei is formed. This process is called as double fertilization, since 2 cells are fertilized from a single pollen grain. One pollen grain, when it reaches to the stigma, it forms inside it 2 male nuclei. Out of those 2 male nuclei, one fuses with the egg and the other fuses with the polar nuclei. So since fertilization occurs in 2 times, it is said to be double fertilization, and double fertilization is one of the important character of angiosperms. We already studied angiosperm, gymnosperm, bryophyte, pteridophytes in last year. So angiosperms are typically characterized by presence of double fertilization in them. So this was double fertilization. Now below that you have do you know, that is cancelled. Next page, page number 28, the first paragraph of try this is also cancelled from your syllabus. So we'll directly move to part B, that is sexual reproduction in human beings. So in sexual reproduction in human beings, you have some questions of can you recall that you can easily solve. You can take reference of 9th standard, the hormones which we have studied in 9th standard, endocrine control or nervous control and endocrine control, or hormonal control we studied in 9th standard. So you can take reference and easily solve the question. That are very easy questions. Then in 9th standard we also have studied how a male consists of 2 chromosomes, sex chromosomes as XY, and a female consists of 2 sex chromosomes as XX, and remaining 44 are said to be autosomes. So typically a male consists of 44 autosomes plus XY, and female consists of 44 autosomes plus XX chromosomes. Later we studied by the process of meiosis, male forms sperms and female forms egg or ovum. So this sperm consists of half the chromosome, that is it consists of 22 plus X or 22 plus Y, and female egg consists both, that is 22 plus X and 22 plus X. So it is a matter of chance whether Y chromosome containing sperm fuses with egg or X chromosome containing sperm fuses with egg. The progeny will either be a male or a female. Now we'll start in detail about a male reproductive system. So male reproductive system have typical parts. One by one we will study the parts and the function of each. page number 28, human male reproductive system. So male reproductive system consists of testes, various ducts and glands. So testes are located in human male body outside the body in a sac known as scrotal sac or scrotum. The reason behind testes located outside the body in the scrotum is the temperature required for formation of sperms is 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less than that of body temperature. That is why the testes are located outside the body in the sac known as scrotum. Then there are series of various ducts or tubes which carry the sperms. Now inside the testes, if you cut the testes, the transverse section of testes show numerous seminiferous tubules, and each tubule consists of cells known as germinal epithelium. This germinal epithelium develops or divides the cell meiotically, and from one cell 4 sperm cells are formed. That is the property of meiosis. We had studied in previous chapter that meiosis gives rise to 4 haploid cells. So here the sperms in human are formed as 4 haploid cells from the germinal epithelium of seminiferous tubules which are located inside the testes. Then these sperms which are formed are carried through the ducts in a series. So first in the ducts we have, it travels through retetestes. From retetestes it travels into the vas deferens. This vas deferens carries the sperm to the urethra. Before that it meets seminal vesicles. So from seminal vesicle the secretion are added to the sperm which helps to give energy to the sperm. At the same time, when the sperms are traveling from testes to retetestes, retetestes to vas deferens to epididymis, etc. So while this route it becomes mature, seminal vesicle provides energy for the sperm to travel into the female reproductive tract. At the same time, secretion from Cowper's gland as well as prostate gland gives fluidity as well as flexibility for the sperms to move through the male urinogenital tract. So this was all about a male reproductive system. You have surprising facts, that is for self-study. You can read it for yourself. That are some interesting facts. You can just read it. Now these were the ejaculatory duct. These are the male reproductive system part. And we also have penis, which is said to be a copulatory organ, which helps to insert the sperms into the female reproductive tract for fertilization. So this was all about a male reproductive system. Next period we will be discussing about female reproductive system as well as menstrual cycle. So that's it for today. Your homework will be you will find out answers for questions of can you tell from page number 28. Thank you.